Folks, we are live, and by we, I mean me, because, well, unfortunately, Pickem does not have electricity right now, because that's what happens up in the Great White North sometimes. They're up in Canada. Poor guy is probably very cold, but I'm here. I'm going to break it down. Also, to those of you, I'm trying it out. We're streaming live both landscape and portrait mode, I guess. So like you get the vertical and the horizontal live streams. So I don't know. Let me know which one you're using in the chat, because this is my first time doing the vertical stream. So, but before we jump into the fights, I do want to say that this here is a great opportunity for you to watch the PFL Africa card free on cloudbet.com. Now, if you want to maybe get some action on the contests this weekend, use the promo code 138MMA. That's going to get you access to a sick welcome package up to $2,500, but also a few other little special things that I can't say on YouTube because YouTube gets mad at me for it. But it gets you some extra perks in addition to the welcome package. So use promo code 138MMA, but also make sure you're watching the PFL Africa card. You can do that on cloudbet.com. They've been great supporters of the channel, so I gladly will shout them out. And also great service. I mean, you gotta if you're watching it through the ESPN Plus thing, you have to have like the extra what have you. You can watch it on the PFL app for some cards, but not all of them. I'm dropping the link in the comments too, by the way. But yeah, so it's just a good service all around. And what better than to be able to place live action on the contests while you're watching the fights in the same browser, same thing. Don't even have to open a new tab. It's just right there. So fantastic stuff. The good folks over at CloudBet got you covered. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some fights. And if you're unsure, it is the promo code scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. Okay, so we've got 11 fights as it currently stands, to my knowledge, anyway. Unless something's fallen out in the last, I don't know, hour or two. But for now, we've got 11 fights, and we're going to talk about all of them. Some of them, there is much more to talk about than others, but we'll do our best, right? And it's again, the names, we're going to do our best. So here we go. We're going to start with the first one. We got Shelda Chapito, I think is how you say that. I'm probably going to butcher it. I'm going to call her Chapito. And she's taking on Miracle Andrew. It's like Andrew, but with a little ooh instead of the Midwest accent that I have. So there you go. You're on the vertical one. I'm black. So that means like there's a black bar there. That's not good. Hopefully that's not a permanent thing. Hopefully you can see me now. It's showing up on my end. Let me pull it up on my phone and see what it looks like there, because I currently have the other one up. Let's pull up the vertical. I don't know which one's the vertical. Nope, it's not that one. That was the one I just had up. It's this one. Oh yeah, there we go. Looks good on my end. So hopefully it's good. Anyway, back to the fight. We've got Andrew and Chapito. And so this is a fight that I think is interesting because when you look at it, Chapito is making her pro debut, right? Got a decent amount of amateur experience, 9-4, I do believe, but she's going up against someone who is 1-1. The 1-1, though, she does have some kickboxing experience in her background, so there's that. That's something, right? Some kickboxing experience. I don't know. I think it was amateur kickboxing experience. I don't believe it was professional. But yeah, so there's not a ton going on there as far as like footage to watch, because I didn't really find a whole lot there. I mean, you got the 1-1 record. So you know that's that. Oh, also fun fact: the 1-1, those were in the same night. So like, she won one of her fights and lost the other one in the same night. So that also makes things a little bit tricky when you're trying to, gauge how good she is, because if you're fighting two people in the same night, it does change your skill level. So there's that. But she's a massive underdog, is Andrew. Chapito is the favorite at minus 926. That's going to be a trend for this card, by the way. A lot of big favorites. And I do like a nice underdog here and there, but I don't think this is the spot. I think Chapito is getting the softball matchup here. It'll probably get to decision, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get a knockout win for Chapito. She does have some knockouts in her career. As an amateur, she got like 4 of them, I do believe. I could be wrong. I think it was 4. Just looking through them right now. Yeah, 4. So yeah, but she's definitely a striker. They're both definitely strikers. I think Chapito's got it. So, we're gonna go with the big favorite here. What's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Unfortunately, it's just me tonight because Pickem is stuck in the freezing cold without power. So that's a shame. If I had one message to the world, what would it be? Oh my gosh. I don't think you want the messages I would have to the world, because I feel like that's a good way to like alienate an audience. So I don't think we want to do that. One thing I will throw out there. Oh, let's see here. Keith's got his. There you go. Keith's got it. Let's see. If you had one message to the world: peace, love, happiness, open-minded person, good listener, unique, kind, electric guitar. Okay. Directing horror movies. Okay. That's a lot of messages, but we'll take it. So Keith, good for you. Good on you. Wants to play some guitar and direct a horror movie. I don't blame you. I like both of those things. I play a little guitar myself, not much. I can get through some like campfire songs. Used to play a little bit more. Don't play as much anymore because, well, you can only do so many things, and I don't have enough time to play guitar and do the other things. But good on you, dude. Guitar's fun. I like horror movies. Wife doesn't like them so much, so I don't watch them as much anymore. But there it is. I also just don't have time to watch movies. But yeah. Derek in the chat, what's up? We got a channel member here. Derek Izzy is the man. When you don't have power, use tech. Yeah, let's go. Always with the jokes, my guy. Always with the good jokes, not just jokes, good jokes. Derek has like that humor that you gotta like. This one was pretty laid out there for you, but a lot of times he's got that humor that if you're just like in a mode and you're like talking fights and stuff, you can sometimes miss it if you're not careful. So Derek's the man. Yeah, hopefully the poor guy up there in the cold doesn't freeze to death, because I don't know what temperature it is in Canada, but it's probably colder than it is here in Nebraska where I live. So, and it's cold outside here. So that's good to know. Good to know. But yeah, guys, appreciate y'all being here. We picked a big favorite in the first fight. Let's move on to the second fight. Second fight of the night. Let me just pull that up. We have Muhammad Ba. He is taking on Desmond Tamungang. We're just going to call it Tamungang. That's it. Tamungang. Cool. Pronunciations, guys. Bear with me. It's essentially Senegal versus Cameroon. That's what we're going for here. So interesting fight again, right? Ba's a minus 275 favorite. You can get these odds on CloudBet, of course. Those are the odds that we use here on this channel because they are the best sports book out there, in my opinion. That is an opinion. I can't speak in an absolute like that, but in my opinion, they are fantastic. So, and they're gonna have props on this type of stuff on these PFL cards, which a lot of people don't. So there's that. But yeah, so in this one here, if I'm not wrong, also, I think Tamungang took this on somewhat shorter notice. I think I do believe that the fight has changed a little bit from what it was originally announced. But to be honest, I try not to look at these cards too early for the PFL because they do change quite a bit. So I didn't look at this until earlier this week, outside of like the main fights. But anyway, for Ba, he's 3-1. We got 5-1 on the Tamungang side. The interesting thing about these two, right? So Ba has shown he can win in any round. Like the guy's very well. He's gotten a finish in all of the first 3 rounds of a fight, which are all the rounds. But to my knowledge, he hasn't won a decision as a pro. I believe all of his wins are by finish. He's got 2 knockouts and a submission. One time it went to decision, he did lose. On the other side, right, we got Tamungang. He's had a little more experience. He's had 6 fights as opposed to 4. Not a lot different there. I think the skill is going to be definitely on the Ba side. He's a very good kickboxer, especially for this level of a card. Like he's a solid kickboxer. So it makes sense that you got Baugh here as a decent favorite, but this is a playable favorite if you're looking, because at the end I haven't seen Dixon yet in the chat, but I'm sure he's going to jump in here and tell me we need a parlay. Don't worry, Dixon, I got you. If you are here, we got you. But you can't get too far just parlaying a bunch of like -1,000 to -900 favorites. It'll take you a long time to get somewhere. Baugh's in a range that if you add him to a parlay, it's still something you can get somewhere. I'm not saying he'll necessarily be in the parlay, but you know, it's one of the few options on the table. Let's put it that way. There's not a lot of options on the table. So we've got 2 fights broken down so far, 2 big favorites, but one of which is still in the somewhat playable range. All right. Hopefully Pickem jumps in. If his power comes back, he'll probably jump in. But like I said, we are unfortunately without him right now. Okay, next fight does not need much to talk about. Let's be honest. We have Abdullah Kane, and he's taking on Joshel Chichawa, I think is how you say that. My goodness. Okay, here's the thing. If Kane doesn't do something incredibly stupid, he wins this fight very easily, right? His one loss is DQ, and he did something extremely stupid. An illegal move, knee to the face, guy was down, dumb. It's stupid. So if he doesn't fight stupid, he probably gets a first-round knockout. Because Awa, I mean, this dude, this is like he was on Power Slap not that long ago, getting knocked out. Like, I can't. I mean, how am I supposed to give any win equity to a guy who was just getting knocked out on Power Slap not that long? I mean, I guess it was like a year ago now, but dude's a Power Slap guy, right? That just loses credibility as a martial artist, at least a little bit, right? And Kane has looked great outside of the fact that he was really stupid and got himself DQ'd in his lone loss. So, with that said, the obvious pick is Kane. Now, let's take a look at the odds, though, because, of course, Cloudbet's got us covered here. We got -1818 on Kane. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I think -1818 is exactly where that should be. I mean, short of the guy getting disqualified. There you go. Derek Izzy saying some of these fights are meant to be a slaughter. And yeah, absolutely, this is one of them. This fight right here, the Kane fight, is meant to be a slaughter. They were trying to push this guy. They were trying to build him up, and then he fought like an idiot. And that's what happened. So the guy lost due to that. But yeah, I mean, -1818 makes a ton of sense. And come fight day, which is, I guess, tomorrow. I think it starts at like 10 a.m. my time, 11 Eastern. Yeah. You know, by that, he'll probably be -2,500, -3,000, something like that. Because he feels like a safe parlay piece. You can't imagine that this dude is going to go out there and get himself disqualified again. Like, that would be absurd, right? That'd be absurd. Okay. We're going to move on. We got our next fight here. This is another one where I'm going to struggle on the names. I think I can do it okay, right? We got Steven. I can get that part right. Or Steve, I guess. It's just Steve. Steve Angodo. I couldn't even get it right. It was Steve, not Steven. And he's taken on Meleje Yadau. We're going to go Yadau, and we're going to go Angodo. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go with that, right? Fine matchup, I guess, but it's 6-1 versus 1-0. So it's like, what are you really supposed to get out of the 1-0, right? He won his only MMA fight via majority decision. So, like, not even everybody was confident that the guy wins, right? So that's not good. It's not. I mean, you got obviously went to decision, so you got 3 rounds to look at as far as skill. But yeah, like not a ton that they're. I mean, he's moving down in weight. I believe his last fight was at heavyweight, so there is that. I mean, give him a little credit there. But what do you got one fight? You got 15 minutes to look at this guy, and he got a majority decision win. Okay. On the other side, we got a guy that's on a bit of a win streak. 4 fights in a row he's won. He's looked pretty good. Comes out of Cameroon. That doesn't really change whether he's going to win or not. It's just like a thing to note. But yeah, I mean, like, the guy's, like, you know, not bad, right? So yeah, let's look at the odds. And yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Angodo's a favorite, only at -195. And I guess probably because of the fear of the unknown, to be honest, because there's not a lot, right? The guys want to know, so there's not a lot to go off of. So the fear of the unknown is a real thing when you're like looking at like odds and things like that. It's it's tricky. You don't really know what happens if this, what happens if that. So for me, I guess it's you gotta take Ngannou as a pick, but I understand why the line is closer, just because it's the unknown is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, I'll take Ngannou. I don't feel especially die on that hill type of stance, but it is what it is. I do think you should win. And yeah, we'll move on to the next one because that's about that. Okay. We have our next matchup, which, yeah, I mean, this is another one of those interesting ones, right? We have two undefeated fighters, I guess. We have Juliet Ukah, and she's taken on Mariam, is that it? Mariam Gobber? It's Gobber? Gobber? I'm going to go Gobber. Yeah, Mariam Gobber. We're going to go Gobber. And Ukah. Okay, here's the deal. Both are undefeated, right? So you got a matchup between two fighters where one of them is going to have to experience defeat for the first time in their career. I do believe Gobber has a boxing background. I believe as a pro boxer, she's 5-1-1. So like a pretty good record. Like that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. Boxed on the Egyptian national team. I believe she won a championship there. Don't quote me on that, but I believe she won a championship there. So yeah, she's good there, right? Good boxer. She does have a couple of wins via finish, one knockout, one submission, I think. Or is it two knock? Yeah, one knockout, one submission. Yes. Couple of knockouts in boxing as well. So the girl's got some zip on her punches, right? I mean, it's not like she's a pillow-fisted fighter. So you take that for what you will. On the other side, we have Ukah. Now, Ukah is a girl who is kind of being pushed a little bit by the PFL. They kind of like this girl. They think she's going to be pretty good. I am somewhat under the impression she's a cop. I think she's like a police officer. So I think that's how she got into MMA. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think she got into MMA because she's a cop. Sometimes, anybody that's been around an MMA gym knows that there's just a ton of cops that train at MMA gyms. It's a thing. That's my guess is how this happened, but I guess I don't know. But I believe she's a cop in Nigeria. So anyway, girl's 7-0. She's got one knockout, but she uses her striking. She's got more of a mixed arsenal, from my understanding, to her striking than Gobber does. But Ukah's predominantly a striker. Gobber is predominantly a boxer, which is a striking art. So I think that the two are probably going to strike. Could be wrong. But when you look at the odds, okay, for two undefeated fighters, the odds are a bit alarming. You get minus 1538 for Ukah. Minus 1538. The reason that is alarming is because both are undefeated. Neither one has lost. So we've never really seen either one, have a poor performance in MMA. We have seen Gobber lose in boxing, but even then, she's 5-1-1. No big deal. I'll take Ukah because of the experience in MMA and the the fact that PFL probably wants her to win here. But realistically, this is one of those if you feel the need to get action on this fight, I don't fault you for taking a shot on a massive underdog. You're getting plus 815 on Gobber here. Maybe would I play it? Maybe. I don't know. What's the over-under? Over-under is 1.5 rounds. I think you can get an over. I think it probably goes over. It is 1.5, isn't it? Am I missing that? Am I tripping? No, it's 2.5. My bad. 2.5 rounds. Never mind. Well, I still think you get an over. So there you go. But yeah, I think Ukah's got to be the pick. But at the number, she's not making the parlay. Hate to give you a spoiler there, but she's definitely not making the parlay. Next up, though, we have a familiar face to those Dana White's Contender Series fans, and that's Eliezer Kubanza. Kubanza, we saw on the Contender Series, get beat by Chris Alvidrez. And I picked Kubanza to win that fight, and he did not. But I do remember saying that Alvidrez was live. But I think the reason I didn't, I think the thing that scared me off, or that kept me off of the Alvidrez side was, I believe it was short notice for him. And Kubanza's a specimen. Like, this dude is a physical specimen. And so in this fight, he's taking on Francis Mozu. I'm going to say that is pronounced Mozu. I feel like that's Mozu. So Kubanza, Mozu. All right. Interesting fight. 4-2 for Mozu. He's taking on the 7-1 Kubanza. Kubanza's only loss, obviously, is pretty high level competition. The dude's fought for like Brave CF. He's done pretty well. Did not look great in that Contender Series loss, but let's be honest, Alvidrez probably beats Mozu as well. Yeah, I feel like you have to go Kubanza, right? I feel like that's just, it's obvious. But again, you're getting, for the odds on Kubanza, minus 1282. By golly, minus 1282. There are too many squash matches on this card. But yeah, Kubanza's probably winning this fight. I think at some point, if Kubanza sticks around and keeps doing the darn thing, I think at some point you're going to see this guy either get back to the UFC or do some pretty good things in PFL, just because the guy is an absolute physical specimen. And I mean, he's got the skills to back it up, but he just fought somebody that was just a little bit too much for him at that point, right? Still a young enough guy. Like he's like 27, so still a young enough guy. But yeah, I think he's getting this one done. Yeah, so we're flying through these. So if you've got some questions, drop them in the chat. Let's see. Caden's asking if I broke that down. Yes, I did. I broke it down a little bit ago. You can scroll back in the video. That's probably your best bet. You'll find it. It's obviously this. I think it's the second fight on the card, so you'll find it a few minutes into the video. So, or you can just watch it at the end of this and stay live with us for now. We'll talk about it there, or maybe stick around until you hear the parlay, and you'll get whether or not one of them makes the parlay. But yes, did break it down. So appreciate you tuning in, though. Appreciate you tuning in. So next fight, let me scroll up to who is next. Okay, here we go. Now we have Alon Mazorik, I think is how you say that. And my goodness, okay, Wasi Adeshina. Not like Adesanya, it's like Adesina. So a little different, right? A little different. But yeah, so Cameroon versus Nigeria, or fighting out of Canada and Sweden. So let's see, Mazorik and Adesina is what I'm deciding what we're gonna go with for the names, right? Yeah, Nate, what's up? So StreamYard, the service I use to which is not a plug for StreamYard, they're not paying me or anything, but unless you want to sign up for a StreamYard account, you can technically use my link to do that, and I get like a bonus, but they're not paying me. So that's not what I'm saying. StreamYard now has a thing where you can stream both with the horizontal and the vertical live stream at the same time, which is what we're trying to do right now. We're doing that for the first time, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I think the vertical live stream would be very tough if I had a guest, but since Pickem was out because there's no power up there where he is, we went with it, right? Also, guys, be like Nate. Nate's the man. Dude's got a channel membership. You can get those for $2.99 a month. It's not very much. If you are a channel member, you can actually check out an early preview and breakdown of Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. I uploaded it today for channel members. It'll be out for the general public sometime next week, probably. Who knows? Maybe I'll wait till the first of the year. I don't know. But it'll be out before the card. We got a long way before the card. But for now, channel members can already check that out. So if you're interested in doing that, it's $2.99 per month. And you get $2.99 per month worth at least, right? Okay, back to the breakdown. Mazorik takes on Adesina. Okay, so let's talk about Mazorik first, right? He's 6-0, couple of submission wins. Technically, he says he has a kung fu background, but he wants to grapple. That's like his best thing, from my understanding. Yeah, I think if he gets the takedowns here, that's going to be the best place for him. Now, on the other side, we got a guy who's more or less a kickboxer in Adesina. Yeah, interesting record though, because like he's 9-3, right? So that's good. He's won 9 out of his last 10 fights. So he's shown some real development here because as an amateur, like he lost the last couple of fights. He went 1-3 as an amateur. And then he moved to pro, which is not usually a good idea. Usually if you win 1 and lose 3 of your amateur bouts, going to be a professional is not like that's not a good idea. Like like what about winning 25% of your amateur fights makes you think you should be a pro? That's super weird, right? But here we are. The dude's looked good as a pro. So it makes me wonder, did he just find the key that he was missing, or is some of it the competition, right? But he's 2-0 in the PFL, so I can't hate on the guy. So good on him there. Still young enough. He's 29. He's the younger fighter here. Mozu is 36. But yeah, anyway, so okay. Adesanya, kickboxing is basically going to be what he wants to do. He wants to keep this on the feet. Mozu wants to get this to the mat. Plain and simple. That's what it is. Let's look at the odds. And the odds for this brought to you by our good friends at Cloudbet. I'm going to say that all the time. I like Cloudbet a lot. They're actually fantastic, folks. Minus 276 for Adesanya. Plus 216 on Mozu. Okay. That's super interesting to me. Before I go any further, I want to shout this out actually, because my good guy, Nate, dropped a channel membership, gifted it. And guess what? Right here in the live chat, Caden actually got that membership. So Caden, you can actually, after the stream, stick around for the stream, right? But check out the Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett breakdown, as well as some of the other exclusive things that are there for just channel members. But yeah, my guy Nate is just doing the darn thing, being a gem of a human being and gifting memberships. He's done this before. The guy's a gem, honestly a gem. So, but yeah, Caden, you got a whole month for free to check out all the membership exclusive content, and there'll be more to come. But back to the odds here. So, okay, so I'm looking at the odds, right? And there's not a lot of underdogs on this card I like. I think this is one I like. I think. I'm trying to decide if I think I'm taking Mozu because he's an underdog, or if I think he's got a real path to victory. And I do. I think if he gets this fight to the mat, I think he's got a big advantage. I think a lot of people are going to count him out because he's like over. I mean, 36 at bantamweight or featherweight. Sorry, 36 at featherweight is a I mean, you're getting up there, but we've seen lately the older fighters are still doing all right, at least for the most part. So yeah, give me the grizzled veteran born in 1989. Wow, that's crazy. 1980s guy. All right. But yeah, give me Mozu. I think he gets it done. I think he gets a fight to the mat. I think he can out grapple him. I think he can take advantage of some holes in the game of Adesanya. And we need an underdog, and boys, we got one. So we're gonna take him. We're gonna take the dog here. There you go. Definitely, brother. Definitely worth doing. We can actually, I'm going to drop a link in the chat again, just to make sure you guys got it in case you want to check out Cloudbet, because you know what? They help us. We help them. It's a great partnership. Next up, we've got a fun one. This is an interesting matchup between the 4-0 Justin Clark and the 7-2 Abraham Babley. Now, why is this interesting? Well, let's start by saying that Justin Clark has been a very exciting fighter thus far, right? All of his wins are by KO. He's got 2 wins in the PFL. Both of those are KO, right? But he did have to go through some adversity to get that KO and just break some, some opponents. One opponent, right? Because a lot of them are first round KOs. But he had one fight where he had to really take some damage. Let's put it that way. He had to take a beating to get through and then come out on top. But he does train out at Team CIT, which is where Drickus trains. So, he's got good training partners. He's a heavyweight, though, so he's a little bit bigger. But Abraham Babley, Manchester top team, also some darn good training partners there. He's had a few things that, like, there's a lot to like about Babley, but then there's a couple of things where you're like, what are you doing here, right? Like the split decision loss that he had to Nascimento. Honestly, like I kind of thought Babley won, but I think I was probably biased because I think I had a play on him. So, but yeah, so there is that. But I thought he won that, right? Babley, I believe he started training MMA after playing soccer or football, as the rest of the world calls it. But yeah, so big dude, played some footy, I think is how another people call it. But either way, but yeah, dude's a legit heavyweight. He's got a lot more experience, 7-2, so that's 9 fights. He's got more than double the experience of the 4-0 Justin Clark. Let's take a look at the odds, right? Let's take a look at the odds. Okay. Clark is plus 564. Might be some value there because minus 901 on Babley is a lot. That's a premium to pay for a guy that kept it close with Nascimento. Nascimento's fine, don't get me wrong, but to then make him a minus 900 favorite in this fight against an undefeated prospect is, that's a tall order. Now, Babley's been winning, don't get me wrong. He's coming off of a couple of knockouts in the first round to get him back to the finals here for PFL Africa, which is, good for him. But, oh boy, how do I see this going? This is the tournament championship, so it's 5 rounds. Nate's got some perspective here. Nate says he put 0.2 units on Clark. He's really not great, but Babley does slow down, and that's what Clark needs. You're absolutely right. I think the value side is Clark, but I don't know if I can get there. And I think for a pick, I think I'm going to take Babley. I think he's a better fighter. I think he can win. What if Babley wins the first 3 rounds and then just doesn't die in the last 2, right? I'm going to go Babley. But I'm staying super far away from it. Babley will not be making the parlay. That is for sure. Not at minus 901. There is 0 chance this man is making the parlay, especially over a guy like Justin Clark, who just kind of eats shots and breaks people. So yeah, value side is on Clark and that 0.2 units. I don't mind that a bit. Currently, I don't have any action on this card, but I likely will. After we craft up a parlay, we might play that, and that'd be. But there's just not a lot. Maybe I'll play the one. I don't know. There's just not a lot to look at on this card and be like, man, that's a great bet. There's some that you're like, okay, I can get there, or there's some value bets, but there's not any just obvious spots. This one takes a little bit of thought, in my opinion. But whatever. Take my opinion for what you want to, for what it's worth to you, right? Okay, so next up, we've got a bout that is not a championship bout. It's weird. They have some of the championship bouts are not as high on the card as some other bouts, which is, I don't know. It's weird. Jean Dos Santos takes on Cornell Thompson. Those are both names I can say. That's good. Jean Dos Santos, Cornell Thompson. I can say that. Okay. So anyway, we're moving on up the card, right? Okay. Let's talk about Dos Santos first, right? 9-1 record, 3 KOs, 2 subs. Debut for the PFL. He's taking on Cornell Thompson, 10-3, so comparable record, right? 1 KO, 1 submission. Debut in the PFL. He did get finished in all 3 of his losses, so that's interesting. Whereas for Dos Santos, it was a decision loss. That could tell you a couple of things. That could tell you that Dos Santos is tough and hard to finish, and Thompson maybe makes some mistakes. Or it could tell you that Thompson is willing to go out on a shield, and if he's down, dude's going to get after it. That's kind of it could tell you those things. So yeah, that's why you got to look into it a little bit deeper. I believe Thompson has a background in boxing. His nickname is the Marine Boxer, so there's that. But I believe he does have a background in boxing outside of just a nickname. I don't know to what level. I feel like it was probably pretty low level, but probably just military boxing. Boxing nonetheless. Okay. For Dos Santos, I think his background's rugby. I think it was. I was trying to look into these because I'm not familiar with these guys, right? This is their debut. I haven't followed their career. So there's that. So I don't have a super big knowledge on them until I look into these guys. And nothing stood out to me as like oh, I need to highlight this thing. And this is probably the fight on the card that I have the least conviction in a pick. Okay. So let's see what the chat's saying before we jump into the odds. Nate says PFL Africa is pretty low level. Africa and the Middle East are not known for producing a lot of talent. That's accurate. Like you get, like Africa will produce some super high level talent, but it's few and far between. And for Africa being such a big continent, it's a continent, right? You would assume that on this continent, you would find a lot of talent. You don't, I think it's because MMA wasn't super popular on the entire continent until like fairly recently, like the 2020s. You didn't really get a lot of people that were training at a young age. So yeah, but you do get some that are just absolute amazing talents, right? Like obviously like Francis Ngannou stands out as like an obvious. But then you get, you know, a lot of fighters that are just kind of, you know? So, yeah, I see what you're saying there. Definitely a lot of low-level talent. As for the Middle East, yeah, there's a lot of Middle Eastern countries don't have a ton of MMA experience. You get some good strikers out of the Middle East, or you get some good grapplers out of the Middle East, but you don't get a lot of people who can put it together. You get a lot of, like, wrestling at a high level, like Olympic style freestyle wrestling, or you get a lot of like traditional striking art, but exclusively strike, but you don't get a ton of like mixed. Like when I was running the kickboxing gyms, we had this guy that worked for me from Afghanistan, right? And his striking was some of the best striking I'd ever seen. But he never grappled a day in his life. But dude, striking was incredible, like absolutely incredible. But yeah, but he like just never thought to mix the arts, right? It was, I just strike. Okay. So I think that's like in Middle East, you get a lot of like either or, whereas in Africa, it's just like MMA wasn't a thing till recently. Like it wasn't thought of. Derek's got to take here. Santos, massive KO upside, but he's debuting against someone with pro experience who can grind out on the ground. Grapplers on average do well against explosive debut fighters. Yep. Okay. Derek is on Thompson. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I haven't quite made my pick yet, so I'm not sure, but I don't fault you for that at all. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Some end up being like Ngannou, others like Musasa. And I would say Musasa is actually probably better than what you're going to get from a lot of fighters that are going to fight on the PFL Africa cards. Let's see here. What do you think about Kubanza round one finish? I feel like it's probably likely. I feel like it's a pretty good. I don't know what the odds are on it. I don't think they're out yet, but it's probably how I would see it going. But back to this fight. Derek's got the most confident take of anybody in the chat on this one so far. Let's look at the odds. Dos Santos, Thompson. Dos Santos is -132. The comeback on Thompson is +108. So you can get plus money on Thompson. I don't blame you for taking the shot there. Then Derek, not at all. Oh man. I'm kind of leaning Dos Santos though. But yeah, like you said, debuting fighters explosive debut type of fighters do tend to have luck against somebody they could grind it out. Yeah. It does seem like Thompson has like some decent wrestling and he does have some boxing. But like, I don't know what level his wrestling is because like, you know, level of competition is just kind of, you know. This is tricky. This is really tricky for me. I'm going to go with the more explosive guy for a pick. We're going to go Dos Santos, but yeah, I don't mind anybody taking the Derek Izzy approach, and we're going to highlight that comment. I should have left it on the screen. I don't mind anybody taking the Derek Izzy approach and going with the underdog who could absolutely grind out a win here. Don't mind that at all. So shout out to Derek for being smart on that one, and I'm just taking the easy way out and picking the favorite. But here's what it is. I got to pick who I think is going to win. But yeah, like I said, value side might be the underdog there. Okay. Let's look at our next matchup here. We have Shido Boris Esperanza, and he's taking on Yabna. Yabna? Okay. Enchela. It's like yeah, we're gonna go with that. Okay. Yeah. Enchela and Esperanza. I can do Esperanza. That's not too bad, but Enchela is what we're gonna go with. Okay. Here we go. So for these two, let's take a look at the obvious things, the numbers, right? For Esperanza, he is 11-1 in the career. His only loss was a knockout loss. His wins, he has 9 of them by finish, 6 KOs, 3 submissions. Okay. In the PFL, he's undefeated at 3-0. It's a good sign, right? For Enchela, is that what I decided? Yeah, Enchela, I think that's what we're going to go with. He's 13-2-1. He's got 4 KOs and 3 subs, so less finishes, but still a pretty good amount of finishes, right? Considering. In his 2 losses, they were both by decision. Does have a draw, so that's obviously a decision in that as well. You can't get to a draw without a decision. That's how it works. I guess, is it a draw if it's a double knockout? I never thought about that, but either way. Point is, he's got a draw. And he did go to decision in the draw. There you go. Enchela has never been stopped, so there is that. That's good. That's a good thing to say, right? Enchela is on a 3-fight winning streak. I believe that Esperanza is on a 5-fight winning streak. Yes, confirming that. Okay. So let's see here. We have mostly, from my understanding, is Enchela is more of a kickboxer, right? He's got kind of like that Muay Thai or like, kickboxing style. I wouldn't give him a ton of grappling success in this matchup. Whereas on the other side, Esperanza is, at least he's a jiu-jitsu black belt, but not all black belts are considered the same. Not all black belts mean the same thing, but I do feel like the grappling advantage is going to be heavily on the Esperanza side. So there's that. Yeah. I feel like it should be pretty straightforward here, and I think I have to go with Esperanza. Let's go ahead and look at the odds, though. Am I tripping? Esperanza, about a minus 345 or so. Yeah, I feel like Esperanza's the side. I feel like it's the grappling edge. I feel like that's what we got to go with. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna go with Esperanza. He's gonna use his grappling, maybe get a submission. We're gonna take a submission. We're gonna do that. Okay. Derek's got some input here. G's strike output could keep the fight competitive if fights conservatively and gets overconfident. Dogs who go the distance in big fights win more than implied line, 20% chance. Hit me with the numbers, brother. Like that's nothing wrong with that. Hit me with the numbers. But we'll talk about that shortly, right? You're way ahead of me, Derek. You're way ahead of me. But I appreciate you bringing that up. We'll talk about that fight here in a minute. Hitting me with the numbers is impressive. But okay. So let's finish talking about this one. Esperanza, I feel like I think if he gets this fight to the mat, he probably dominates, right? And on the feet, I think he can be competitive enough that I think he'll be fine. So yeah, I think it's plain and simple. I think he can win on the feet even. But I know he can win on the ground. Can. Yeah. Okay. We're not going to overthink it. Esperanza's probably winning this fight. Let's move on to the main event. Okay. Or I guess it's the main event. It looks like it's supposed to be the main event. But I'm not convinced that the fight card is going to stay in this order, because some of the like championship fights are lower than non-championship fights, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is what it is. I'm going to drop the link again, just in case you guys missed it. There you are. Make sure you're checking out CloudBet. seriously, you can watch the card there. You can get some action on the fights right there on the same page. It makes sense. It just makes sense, guys. It's free to watch the fights there. You don't have to technically put any action on the fights to watch the fights on CloudBet, but you've got a place that you can watch all the PFL cards. And if you so happen to choose to do so, you could then use my promo code 138MMA to get some action on the fights. Okay. Butcher these names. My gosh. Okay. Nkosi, Ndabale, like N-double-A, N-double-A. We're going to do that. We're going to go with Ndabale. Okay. And I do remember this fella because we tried to back him as an underdog and it didn't work out well for us. Bull Godogo. And I believe that is how you say that. Godogo. So Godogo versus Ndabale. Okay, let's talk about it. So Ndabale, 10 wins, 3 losses, 6 of his wins are by KO. That's pretty good, right? 3 losses, it happens. In his losses, mostly decisions. He does have 1 submission loss. He's 2-0 in the PFL. Yeah, looks pretty good, right? For Godogo, he's 1-1 in the PFL, but he's 4-1 on the career, 2 wins by KO. His 1 loss is by knockout. Yeah. Got knocked out pretty bad. Flying knee. That'll do it to you, can't do a whole lot about that. It was devastating because we thought, I think it was Pickem as well. I think me and Pickem both thought he was going to win that fight, but we were very wrong. Very wrong. So flying knee KO took him out. But yeah, let's talk about it, right? Okay, so for NAA, which is what I'm going to call him now. Let's see. What do we want to have? Well, I mean, he fought in Brave CF. That's a good sign. It's good promotion. Something you want to see, right? He's got probably some of the better wins between the two, I would say, on his record. Been doing the darn thing for a while now, since the 20 teens at least. Yeah, let's see. On the other side for Godogo, yeah, I mean, dude's tough. I mean, flying knee will take you out, get caught. But outside of that, dude's tough. He's got a judo black belt, I do believe. Did pretty well as an amateur. 1 loss as an amateur, 1 loss as a pro. Both guys are going to prefer to strike, at least for the most part. Oh, man. We'll come back to that one in a second. Let's jump into the chat. Let me stew on that. Let's come back to the chat here because the Jenny LP, is that what that says? The Janelle P? The Janelle P. That's what we're going to go with. Let me know if I'm saying that wrong. Let's see. I think he's talking about the previous fight that I just mentioned, the Dos Santos fight. Said this fight is a blood feud grudge match with personal animosity, creating early violence, which I think favors Dos Santos. Dos Santos has that 8-second flying knee KO fresh in memory, 56% finish rate, home crowd advantage. Thompson's been submitted twice via rear naked choke. And he says, Dos Santos explosion creates mutual finishing danger. Yep, that's correct. Grudge matches don't produce patient technical battles. Yeah, I don't know about that because so in general, I think you're correct. But do you remember in the UFC, Manil Kopp, when he fought Muhammad Makayev, and that was a grudge match? They'd assaulted each other in the hotel or whatever, and then they go to fight, and it's it's that kind of fight where it's very tentative. So, but in general, you're right. You're right. But you can't always base your decision on that. But sounds to me like you're on Dos Santos, which I was as well. Okay, back to our main event here. Let's take a look at the odds. My goodness. NAA is a minus 1020 favorite. My goodness. Okay. Oh, boy. Minus 1020. Do I think he... Like I was gonna say I think he wins. I'm not gonna let myself get tricked into back end Godogo here when he could win. Don't get me wrong, he could win. But I think I got suckered into trying to play the value side on him last time, and then he got knocked out. I'm not saying he can't win. I do think if he uses his judo, it's probably a best path here because I think both guys probably want to strike. I think NAA is probably going to be a little bit better striker. But yeah, I'm not sold on this one either. I do think there's value probably on the dog, but not enough to get me there. Okay, we're taking NAA. We're going to go with that. I'm taking him. Locked it in. Okay. So with that said, about 50 minutes into this live stream, we've covered every single fight. Now I got to figure out how to make you guys a parlay on this card, which I've got to be honest, guys, this is going to be the hardest card to make a parlay because we're going to try to make you the safer parlay or like safer. It's tough. This is a hard card to make a safe parlay. And then we're going to try to make you the wild parlay. And I think you already know the wild parlay is going to have to include the only underdog we picked on the card. So there's that. Let's see if we can make a parlay that'll get you to around plus 100 that I don't feel like makes me want to throw up. So that's going to be tricky. Okay, who do I think is obvious? My gosh, they're all so okay. We're gonna put Kane in there, even though I feel like the line is ridiculous, minus 1818. And so far that's not good because 1 unit pays out 0.06 units on him. So okay, let's see if we can add some value to this parlay. Who else do I feel like has a really clear path to victory? Oh boy, Kubanza, I guess, but gee whiz. Well, what's the under? Under 1.5 rounds, but you get minus 172. What happens if I put the under 1.5 in there at minus 172? That gets us to minus 150. Oh, man. Okay, hold on. We're still thinking this through. We haven't committed to that yet. We have not committed. Do I have any other legs that I feel really solid about? Not really. Not any that I feel like you can super justify the... Oh, goodness gracious. What do I think we can justify the odds with? Actually, I take that back. Chapito, I think is how you say it. I feel like she can push that line over at minus 926. I think she can push it to plus 100. Let's see, minus 926. That puts it minus 118. My goodness. You guys just might have to settle for minus 118 on that one. Because I think, look, I'm not gonna make it a 4-legger with 3 of them being over, or with 3 of the legs being over minus 900. I just can't do it. If you want, you can add to it. We're gonna stick with this. Okay, gosh, this is gonna be hard. Okay, so we're gonna go Chapito. I'll put it in the chat, guys. Don't worry. Chapito plus under 1.5 in Kubanza fight plus Kane equals minus 118 on Cloud Bet. There we go. Okay, so that's the easier parlay, right? The one that's more likely to hit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep those legs because I don't feel like we can really change that up very much. And now my wife's cracking jokes over there. Sorry. Now we're gonna add a leg or two, and I've already said we pretty much have to add our only underdog into this, just for the fact that like otherwise we're not going to get very good odds. So we're going to take the plus 216 on Elaine. We're just gonna call that. So plus 216 That gets us to plus 484. Let's try to get to plus 5. Am I right, friends? Actually, let me throw this up on the screen so you can see the original. That's the original parlay. Okay, so we're at plus 4, whatever. Let's try to get to plus 5. To get the plus 5, I think we add Ba at minus 275. If we add Ba at minus 275, we get to plus 697. Let's go. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add them. I'll drop it in the chat. Don't worry. Once I can do this here. 1 second. I'm just gonna copy and paste old boy's name because I've tried to pronounce it enough already. So, add and to original to get plus. What are we getting? We're getting plus 697 on Cloudbet. There we go. Okay. So for anybody that wonders, what was the original leg? So I'm going to pull this up. You can still see it on the little like chat on the side scrolly deal. But yeah, so you're going to add these two fellas. That's going to get you to plus 697 for a ridiculous play. Should we play it? Probably not. Will we play it? Maybe. We might do that. We might do it. I think we will. Probably with something really light because that's crazy work. But all right, folks, that's what I've got for you today. I can't think of anything else that you need to know about this card. I can't think of much else that I know about this card. Like I said, some of these we know the guys, but some of these are kind of tough. They're debuts or they don't have much of a record, or they beat up a bunch of tomato cans. But that is what it is. Guys, if you haven't done it already, I do appreciate it if you hit like on this live stream. That is fantastic. So if you do that for me, I would appreciate it quite a bit. Derek Izzy says, we shouldn't gamble at all. Gambling is bad. I'm flat betting every dog again. Brother, you're killing me. That's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Gambling's good. It's good for the soul. It's good for you. I mean, it's not like good if you got like a problem. Don't do that. But like, you know, it's fun. It's a good way. Don't gamble things you're not willing to lose. Let's put it that way. Because like, let's be honest, I'm not a great gambler. I'm an okay gambler. Like the fact that I can somehow maintain the slightest of profit. I think I have like a 2% ROI. Maybe it's worse now. I don't know. But it was like 2%. It's technically positive, but only just. But either way, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna throw these up on the screen one more time. Like the stream if you haven't done so. Shout out again to Nate for gifting a channel membership. Let's throw him up there. Yep. But yeah, shout out to Nate for gifting a channel membership. Let's show the parlays one more time. Add that to the original. And there we are. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's too bad Pickem couldn't be here. Unfortunately, the weather took him out. He has no electricity right now. So, but with that said, it's time for me to eat dinner. My wife is telling me that it is time. So appreciate you guys. I'll catch you all down the road. Thank you so much for tuning in.